everybody, Keith Hilson at the Trombone Shop at Schmidt Music. So last week I did a video talking about the new Lawler Model 3 that we just got in the shop here. So again, this is a little bit different design from some of the others. Inspired after a Williams design where the tuning slide is actually a little bit more of like a tuning and slide kind of setup. So we have tuning slide basically from here to here, which in theory really changes how the airflow is moving through here, what's happening to the resistance. And what I found in general last week was that that was the case, but there were a few weird things with the other setup with the horn. We had a heavier gauge bell flares. We had a dual bore slide, both of which I thought were changing up too much from what I experienced before to really get a true sense of what this bell stem could potentially do. So we actually, after the video last week, we got another one of Roy's horns in. This was his Model 2 that we just got in, but it had a little bit more standard setup with the hand slide with the bell flares. So I wanted to do another quick video with a different setup with this bell stem to really kind of showcase, well, what can it do with a different setup. So with this now, before I had a 7.5-inch 0.025 gauge bell flare in, I believe it was in bronze. It was a little bit heavy, I could feel it. So now we have an 8-inch yellow brass flare in the standard 0.22 gauge. And then I have a standard 500 bore hand slide. This is in all yellow brass as well. And so I'm going to play for you a little bit here. This is all going to be on a box 6.5 AL. So when we got the new Model 2 bell stem in with all of the other slides and configurations, it took me a little bit to play around with what worked with this horn. But I think I've really found a combination that plays really nicely, and it's very different from my experience with this in the last video. What this does do, I think it still gives a little bit more roundness to the outside of the sound. Even when I'm trying to be really articulate, it's clean, but it doesn't have a snap to it. And which makes a lot of sense with what's happening through the airflow here. I think especially, and again, I think the yellow brass hand slide might be affecting this a little bit. The response a little bit does remind me of what happens on a full yellow brass horn, in that it's a little bit warmer. There's a little bit of a likeness, but there's just a really beautiful consistency to the sound. One of the things that really impresses me with this horn is that even when I push the dynamic, that's why I did the last blues, is to really push and try to get it really bright and edgy, it still maintains a lot of the warmth. It doesn't get overly brilliant and edgy with this. Still maintains a lot of the core, but it's just got this really great sound. And again, I think, like I talked about last week, this stem really gives a lot of stability. Now, it's a different blow than some of the others, and it took me a little bit to figure out, well, how do you really get this horn to play? But again, there are some things I really, really like about it. And I like the fact that you can put some real volume into it and you don't see this huge shift in the color of the timbre. There's a little bit more consistency, and I can see some folks really, really liking that. So anyway, like I said, wanted to do a follow-up here. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any thoughts about what you heard on this video compared to the last one, if you prefer it, well, I liked this versus that, feel free to leave those comments below. As always, if you liked the video, think about giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, consider subscribing to our channel. We're always trying to create new, fresh content for you, and you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching, everybody.